With all the hype going around of Pokemon Sun and Moon, I thought I'd make a pretty fun video of the top 5 new Pokemon I'd really like to see in Pokemon Sun and Moon. These are all ideas I've had for a pretty long time that we have yet to see after 20 years of Pokemon. And although I'm not guaranteed to see these Pokemon in the new generation, I'd really like to share my ideas and like to read your guys' ideas of new Pokemon that you would really like to see, so make sure you comment below. I'd also like to make a side note, this is only part 1 of a series because there's going to be many ideas that I can think of Pokemon that I'd really like to see before the actual release. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the top 5 Pokemon I would really like to see in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Velociraptor. This is something we're not prone to seeing in Pokemon games. We've had plenty of dinosaur Pokemon as well that come from fossils. So first off, I imagine this is a Pokemon, or at least one of the Pokemon that you gain from a fossil in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. We've already had a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and as well as a Brachiosaurus, so it's about time for a Velociraptor. And I'm not positive, but I do believe Grovyle is kind of like a Velociraptor hybrid, but I'm talking about a full-on Velociraptor like fossil type Pokemon. I imagine this Pokemon to be rock and dark type since we have yet to have one since Tyranitar. And although that makes him weak to a lot of things, it also makes him really resistant a lot of things and immune to psychic. And I do want to point out that all these Pokemon are not made to be very overpowered or anything, it's just the idea of what I think they would be, the types and moves and such. The reason for its typing is the rock type because it comes from a fossil, and the dark type is because Velociraptors are also nicknamed Speedy Thieves. So, you know, a thief, dark type, we also have a move called Thief, so yeah. I also imagine them to be high attack and high speed and be more of a sweeper since Velociraptors have been known to go in packs and to be able to run up to 40 miles per hour. Unlike the Jurassic Park series, Velociraptors actually had feathers, and is believed not to fly, but more to increase their speed. And for his ability, I believe he should learn the move Strong Jaw. I mean, it's really useful for things like Crunch, and you know, he could also learn like Thunder Fang and stuff. And it also introduces a way that Game Freak can release a new type move like Stone Fang or something like a rock type biting move. All in all, this rock and dark type is a great addition in Gen 7 since we really haven't had one since Tyranitar, and this one's a little bit different stat wise and moves wise, so I think it would make a great addition. Griffin. Known from mythology, the legendary creature has the body, tail, and back legs of a lion, but the head and wings of an eagle. As a fan of Greek mythology, one of my favorite things was the mythical creatures that you could see, and I think this would be a great type creature as a Pokemon. It is also said in Greek mythology that it carried the chariot for the sun god, so this could be some kind of exclusive for Pokemon Sun. This could be one of the new dragons in Pokemon Sun because I believe this Pokemon would be dragon and flying. I also imagine it to have high attack and high special attack and a balance around the rest, around a base stat of like 550 to 600. And with an ability like Clear Body, it makes it a great Pokemon. And as for the design of this creature, I mean, it's in mythology, just kind of do that, but seeing that as a Pokemon would be incredible. I couldn't wait to see like the 3 evolutions for it and like the Mega Evolution. That would be pretty incredible. Roadrunner. Growing up watching the old classic conflict of the Coyote and the Roadrunner, it wasn't until a few years ago that I actually realized a Roadrunner was a real creature. I imagine this Pokemon to be flying and ground since we really haven't had one since Gligar, the legendary Landorus. And because it runs up to around 25 miles per hour on the ground, it normally only enters flight if it's trying to escape some predator. And for the fact in the classic cartoon it's in a desert terrain, so it makes plenty of sense that this Pokemon should be ground type. I imagine this Pokemon to be high attack and high speed but with low defense. Possible moves such as Earthquake, Brave Bird, Close Combat kinda like Staraptor, and U-Turn. Lastly, I imagine the ability to be Speed Boost or Sand Rush. Just like the classic cartoon, this mischievous Roadrunner can pack a punch with its high speed and high physical attack and a nice moveset. A Koala Bear. Just look how stinking cute this thing is and it's yet in a Pokemon game. I mean, come on Game Freak, let's get a Koala Bear in Gen 7. It was really difficult coming up with a typing for this Pokemon because it could be all sorts of things. I imagine it first off is a grass type. But then the second type was really difficult. I thought of maybe a solo type, steel like Ferrothorn, and that's pretty much what I come up with, is grass and steel or grass and fairy. The reason I decided on grass and steel is because I imagine this Pokemon to be very slow but with high defense and high special defense. And being grass and steel, it only has 2 weaknesses. I really don't mean to copy Ferrothorn, so it can be grass and fairy if you really hate the typing, so you guys can choose that. Like I said, I imagine this Pokemon to have very low speed, high defense and special defense, and a pretty decent attack. Also with the ability Guts or Thick Fat, making it really good tank Pokemon. I also imagine it with moves like Power Whip, Seed Bomb, Wood Hammer, and like Substitute. Just some moves to give it some good physical attack, but also already having very good defense for a tank Pokemon. I also want to say it again, like I've said in past videos, I am not a major veteran competitive Pokemon player. I'm very noobish at some of this stuff, so I'm really sorry if I say something that is completely ignorant, and you guys can definitely correct me in the comment section below. A Tasmanian Devil. So, I really didn't mean to do this, but I accidentally ended up putting 2 Pokemon in this video that are from cartoons. Maybe my little old childhood is flashing back to me this week, but as the world's largest carnivorous marsupial, it's about time to be in a game. And despite the cartoon, it actually is a pretty adorable rat-looking creature. At least I think it's cute. And yeah, I like cute Pokemon, man. They're freaking awesome. Not to mention when the cute little first Pokemon evolves into some freaking awesome creature that does damage. That is just so cool to me. I love that about Pokemon. But seriously, this would be a great addition to Pokemon, and we have really yet to see that, and there's plenty of things you can do with it, and the typing could be anything. I do want to state too, like in my other top 5 or top 10 videos, this is not in any particular order, and it is an ongoing series. These are just the first 5 that I actually researched about and, you know, try to learn about and see what good typing and stuff would be for these Pokemon. But for the typing of this Pokemon, I initially think of Dark type since the animal is nocturnal, and then for the second one, it's pretty difficult to come up with because they could really go anywhere with it. I mean, like I said before, we have an electric spider, but I imagine this thing to be a fire and dark type because there's a lot of good designs they could come up with for a fire and dark Tasmanian devil. But for this Pokemon stats, I don't imagine it to be one dominant Pokemon, kinda like I imagine the Griffin to be. I imagine him to be like Houndoom and have a decent attack, decent special attack, and a pretty decent speed. I'm not at all saying he's a bad Pokemon, but just saying he's not some legendary type with 600 base stat. And for its ability, lastly, I imagine something like Blaze or even huge power to make it useful, a good, pretty decent Pokemon. Thank you guys so much for watching my opinions on the top 5 new Pokemon I would like to see in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. If you did enjoy this, be sure to hit that like button, share with a friend, and comment below your opinions and your wants for the new generation of Pokemon. Also, if you enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button and check out some other things that I've done to my channel and join the Eugene Nation family. And as always guys, this is not just a channel, it is a family, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.